Welcome to Carpe Dime, a podcast about personal finance and everyday life. I'm Jamie Davidson.
And I'm Nicole Jackson from Financial Center. Thanks for spending your time listening to us talk about how life and family affects us achieving our financial goals. Today, we are tackling a topic, Jamie, that we mention almost every episode, but I don't think we've ever actually fully broken it down.
I think we're going to talk about the B word, budgeting.
Budgeting.
Yeah. So maybe you're already doing this. Maybe it's time for a fresh start. Let's take a look. This episode might be just for you.
So we've done budgeting for Christmas. We've done budgeting for vacations. I mean, I think we even got into Halloween at one point. But today we're going to get into budgeting that everybody should look into so that they can stay financially fit and healthy, right?
Absolutely. Budgeting doesn't always sound fun, right? It's one of those things we don't really like to talk about or don't want to do it, but it allows us to get in control of our money and know where our money's going. And believe it or not, once you get control of your money and where it's going, your financial life is much easier. A little Zen moment there. So you got some numbers for us today?
First off, only 32% of the U.S. households prepare a monthly budget.
Wow. Yep. That's 68% setting themselves up for failure.
No, math. I was like, no, I said 32. Yeah. Anyway, 62%, there's another number, of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, including 45% of those who earn over $100K per year.
Yeah, as you look at those numbers, that sort of goes with the other things we've talked about in the past, where there's so many people in our population that don't even have emergency savings. Mm-hmm. So as you look at this, and then you look at the 100,000 per year and over, a lot of times it's not about how much you make, right?
A lot of people assume that if you have a lot of money, then you don't have a lot of problems. Doesn't it? What money, mo problems?
That's right, more money, more problems.
And the last stat I have is 93% of people who use a budget say they feel more in control of their money, with 70% reporting that it has helped them reach a financial goal.
That says it all right there.
It does.
The people that are successful with their money say this is the way to go. And we've talked about people with money that make a lot of money, people that don't make a lot of money, but those that know how to budget are happier. It's about being happy and having control and not worrying about your money, right? Mm-hmm. So when things happen, you're prepared. So the answer to that is we're going to talk about it today.
Yeah.
The B word, the budget, right? Oh, you interrupted me.
I'm going to. Let's start about that B word. What is a budget, Jamie? A lot of people talk about it and immediately they think that they're being restricted. It's almost like dieting, but is that really what a budget is?
Oh, absolutely. It's like, oh, I can't have that. No, actually, it's not that, but that's how we look at it. It's really more of it's a roadmap to your spending and your savings and your debt. So it's really, you should use it as a tool. We use tools to do things, right? Build things. The budget's the same way. It's a tool in your toolbox.
So if you want to reach a goal, whether it's saving for a house, paying off debt, or just having money for a fun vacation, let's say Disney, a budget is going to help you get there without the stress of guessing if you can actually pay for it.
I'm laughing, everybody. Nicole's got the Disney fever, it sounds like, over there. Yeah, and spoiler alert here. A good budget actually includes what? That fun money, right? Mm-hmm. You're going to go to Disney. You want to prepare. So when you come back from Disney, you're not sad because you don't have any money left over, right? So let's talk about it.
All right. So step one would be to know your numbers, right? Before you can come up with a plan for your money, you need to know what you actually have, where it's coming, and where it's going, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We talk about getting on that scale. We have these two buckets here, money coming in, money going out. It's time to actually gather all those goods and actually know exactly what's coming in, exactly what's going out.
Don't just put a hole in the bucket and hope that it makes it from one to the other.
That's right. Yeah. So you gotta count all those things, and a lot of times we don't want to look at the one bucket, the spending bucket, because when we don't look at the spending bucket, I'm going to bring a third bucket in that's not going to have anything in it called savings.
Yeah.
Right.
So we look at the fixed and variable ones?
Yes, always. You've got to plan for fixed and variables. Many examples of that would be, what's the fixed expense in your household?
Monthly mortgage.
Your mortgage, it's the same, right? Every month it's the same, right? Mm-hmm. Is your fuel cost the same every month?
No.
Okay. How about your electric bill or your heat bill?
No.
Okay, so those are variables.
Yes.
So you've got to sort of plan for those, right? We know this. Example of variable when it comes to utilities, you're probably going to spend more money in the winter if you live in a cold place than you do in the summer.
Right.
Okay, very good.
All right, so then you might be surprised when you look to see where your money is actually going, right? sometimes those $5 charges add up fast. Like I might have stopped in a certain beverage drive-through on the way here.
Would it be the S place?
It would definitely be the S place.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times we're pretty good at knowing our fixed expenses going out.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not too bad about our variable, but it's those little things, like you said, they add up. Right?
They do.
I don't know if you went to lunch today. If you did, if it wasn't in the budget, it's going to add up and you're going to eventually see it. You're actually going to not see it because you're not going to see the money. And that's really what this is all about. So, we're going to talk about, do we just track for 1 month? Do we track for multiple months? If you want a successful budget, you've got to actually do the first step, which is know your numbers. Correct?
It's a reality check, right?
Yeah, it's a reality check that a lot. It's like going to the doctor. You don't want to go get your physical, right?
Right.
I know what that's like. So once you know your numbers, it's time to make that plan that actually fits you and your family's life. So I put that in there on purpose because a lot of times you'll have a budget for a family, but the whole family doesn't know that budget.
Right.
If you've created a budget in your head, but you haven't shared it with your spouse, and then you're upset that they're overspending, well, shame on you. And I can say shame on me because I've done that before.
Right. And I know a lot of our listeners right now are probably thinking, oh, I've heard this episode before, right? We talk about the 50-30-20 rule with 50% of your income going to your needs.
What do they say, though? You have to hear something 7 times before you remember it? So
right.
We're just
yes,
reinforcing
exactly.
good behavior.
So 50% goes to your needs, 30% to your wants, and 20% to your savings or debt, which...
Yeah, actually, I want that 20% to probably go in your savings, and you're going to have to figure out how to go to that 50% to pay off that debt, or maybe you're going to have to cut down on your 30% because debt, as we've talked about before, interest rates, those can really make a huge difference in your life. So
another thing people like to do is the envelope system, where you put your cash in your envelope for your different spending categories. But I feel like I would probably lose one of my envelopes, and that would be a nice surprise for later.
There you go. Yeah, the envelope method, that's one that's been used for many years. I've used it in the past. I still like the envelope method. Just like you said, though, carrying around a lot of money, not a lot of money, but money in envelopes can be a little bit concerning at times. But you've got to really figure out if that fits your needs or not. So when you're sitting down and you're creating that plan, you got to find out what works for you. So it might be that envelope method. It may not. And keep in mind a couple things. First, what is your goal for the budget? Is it maybe you're already good at savings, so it's not really about paying down debt. Mm-hmm. So you set savings goals that you've already hit, so what do you do next, right?
Right.
I say you go celebrate, but some people say no. Are you trying to decrease that debt burden? So if you're decreasing your debt, though, that means you've got to pay that off, so you're probably having trouble doing what? Saving, because you're paying down that debt. Or maybe you're just trying to better understand your finances and understand where they're going and where your money's going.
Right.
Amazon. I can go down the list.
We don't want to talk about Amazon.
We don't want to talk about this? No. So the next one is you got to think, do you have a time frame? Mm-hmm. I love the idea of getting together at the beginning of the year, January, and setting the goal for the year, talking about it monthly, seeing where you are, what you've done right, what you've done wrong, and having that conversation throughout the year. And hopefully at the end of the year, you had a good fiscal year, and maybe you can celebrate a little bit.
It's what they call like a SMART goal, right? Where you set a measurable and achievable something R to target what your goal is at the, I don't know. I've got extra letters that don't make any sense.
You've got
right now.
all kinds of letters in there. SMART, yeah. So SMART goals are the way to go because they're realistic. That's what you're looking for your R, I think.
Oh, there you go.
A's for achievable, yes. T's has a time frame in it.
Oh, yep. See,
S would be specific.
There's a reason
and
why.
And then M is measurable. So I just went all over. I went all through. I went all through the alphabet the wrong way, right? So whatever you're doing, it's really finding out what your need is.
Right. And you have to be honest with yourself, right? Because otherwise, you're going to try and save for a big purchase or lower your debt. But if you're not real about what your expenses are,
it's kind of funny how much we lie to ourselves. Right?
Oh, yeah. It's like when you look at your driver's license weight, right?
Well, no, I don't know about that.
Oh,
yeah.
That must be a
I'm referring to, not wanting to know where that money went, right? So this is where you're really digging in and going, like you said, you stopped today and got a beverage on the way. This is where you go, how many subscriptions, streaming services do I have? Because, might have some you don't even know about. I've heard of people who are actually paying for the same service twice.
Mm-hmm.
So is that you? Maybe you need to cut some of those out for a few months so you can go on that vacation, whether it's Disney World or Mexico or Belize, whatever, Probably need to cut a little other things out.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of us, what do? We go, you know what? I deserve to go to Disney World. I deserve to go to Mexico.
I deserve it.
And even though I haven't saved the money, we still go, right?
Right.
And then when we come home, what have we brought home with us? Huge amount of debt.
That snuck into your suitcase.
Yeah. And if we're not doing our budget, our debt continues to go up and our savings continues to go nowhere.
Yeah. So the key would be what? To find a system that is doable, right?
Doable. That's a good word. Yeah.
That's weird.
I mean, one that fits your family's needs.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't want it to be too strict because obviously.
Yeah, and you're going to make mistakes.
That's true.
Everybody makes mistakes. Mistakes are all right. Just make sure when you make the mistake, you get back out there and look at it again and try, continue on. We like to make mistakes in our lives and say, I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
But with finances, that's what a lot of people are doing. As we looked at those numbers early on in our other podcast, what they are doing is, I tried, it didn't work, and their debt continues to grow. And it's really about, hey, you made a mistake, move on, sit back down, and go over the budget again.
Right. So it's kind of like, it's like when you get in trouble at school, right? You have the structure, you know what you're supposed to do. But then there's the flexibility that's like, okay, fine, you messed up, but you can still fix it.
I never got in trouble at school. I don't know what you're talking
you
about.
Didn't? Okay,
never.
Cool. Well, in that magic land of Jamie not getting in trouble.
Had straight A's too. So, all right, let's talk about it. So now look, we got to know our numbers. We're going to make a plan, right? Next thing we want to do is we want to automate and adjust. So, pro tip here, make budgeting easy on yourself. Automate your savings. Have an automatic deduction go to the savings so you don't even see it. I've got a great idea. So you're not late on your bills. Set up automatic bill payments so it goes straight to your bill. Hey, guess what? You're going to pay it on time. It's going to help your credit score.
But if you pay it on time and then you don't have the money in your account, I'm sorry. This is where I'm like, okay, yeah, I've automated my bills, but now I've got 6 overdraft fees that came in because I automatically paid my bill. I think that's what scares me.
This is what scares you. Well, I think the answer to that is you get the budget going first and you know where your money's going. So if you're automating bills but you don't know where your money is, that's why it's not the first step. We're not going to automate first.
Okay.
We're gonna find out where our money is. We're going to get a plan. We're going to work on the plan, and then we're going to automate, right? Okay. We're not going to do that. We're not going to go, well, I don't like the idea of knowing my numbers. I don't like the plan works for me. But, hey, I like the idea of bill paying and, automating it, right? Yeah. So, make sure we're doing these in these types of steps here.
Okay. So we want to check in regularly then, right? To make sure that.
Yeah, because life changes.
It does. You could have extra kids or extra pets or extra car payments, right? That are going to raise or lower what you've actually got kind of sitting there.
I mean, we've been talking, and I'm not dating this recording, but for the last couple of years, we've had inflation, right? So grocery prices are not what they were a year ago or 2 years ago. We're still in that mode. So when you go to the grocery store, you need to have a budget and a list.
You need to buy eggs.
Maybe you don't need eggs. I think maybe you go, do we really need eggs this week? And have that conversation. But as everybody's freaking out about eggs, it's like it's eggs. I don't need eggs that badly. So you got to keep looking at it. And hopefully you're getting raises too, right? So we need to adjust our budget with our raise. A lot of us get that raise and we go, woohoo, or we get that tax refund and we go, woohoo, and we don't put that money where it needs to go. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Mm-hmm. Okay, whoa.
Not woo.
Whoa. Look at Nicole. She's the strict one. I tell you, she must have gotten straight A's.
Okay, fine. Let's get back to the topic. We know that budgeting sounds great in theory, but what about when it gets tough, right? What about when you don't think you have enough money to do the budget that you want to have or have the time to make it to your end goal?
Well, I think the answer is start simple. I think too many people just dive in these complicated apps and budget templates, and if it doesn't fit, I'm going to quit. Mm-hmm. If it doesn't fit, I'm going to quit. So just start tracking your spending. That's the first step. Just understanding where your money goes, because I can tell you, before you even start the budget, if you track your money, you're going to have that moment where you go, oh my God, I didn't realize I was paying that much or spending that much on this, that, or this, and that. So start tracking that spending. Next, you can look through your spending and see if they're unnecessary. costs you could cut. I myself, and I'm sure you can say this, Nicole, I'm sure there's probably something in your budget and my budget that we could probably cut if we needed to. You think so?
If I had to.
If you had to. Yeah. I streaming services, I'm guilty.
Right.
I'm guilty. I'm still not paying as much as I used to pay, but I'm guilty. So you can look through your spending and see if there's any unnecessary costs, something you probably are paying for that you don't need. We've heard of people, like I said, that have the same streaming service and they pay twice because they forgot it was on one.
Or maybe it's, your Google backup, right? Like there's other options other than getting hit $3 a month for storage in case you want to save more pictures. I'm not saying that's what I do, but I'm saying maybe somebody else does.
I think
right?
you pretty much know a little bit about that more than I do.
Yeah.
Now, stay with me because this next part is the hardest. Set some realistic goals that can make a difference.
So you mean like lowering my debt X% this year or going to Disney sometime next year? Those kind of goals?
Yes. Sometimes you've got to give up a few things to get there where you want to go. So start small and saying, I'm going to stop going to McDonald's so much because, McDonald's isn't expensive, but it's not cheap either.
Also help you achieve more than one goal.
Hopefully, yeah. That's the whole idea.
What about the unexpected expenses excuse?
So,
I didn't know.
So that's the one where we've talked about before where the majority of Americans don't have $400 in a savings account. The key is to get to that emergency savings, start putting in. And here's the thing that people, when we talk about this, think that you need to go from 0 to 1,000 quickly. And it's not about that. It's about, okay, so we didn't go to McDonald's twice this week. We saved $20. Let's put that in the savings. See, what happens is when we stop going to McDonald's, we take that 20 and spend it somewhere else. Mm-hmm. So it's really about making that decision and then going that way and putting that emergency fund. So when that does happen, I can tell you, I'm not happy when I have to get in my emergency fund, but at least I have the money there.
Right.
Think of the stress when you don't have the money there.
Okay, so in the end, budgeting doesn't have to be complicated, right? Start by making the decision to build a budget, create your plan, and then from there, it's about knowing your numbers, making a plan for what works for you, right?
Yeah.
And checking on it regularly.
Yeah, and remember, you're in control. Your budget should serve you and your family. It's not there to stress you out. It's not like if you skip a day at the gym, oh my God. If you end up going to McDonald's one day, that's okay. Just remember that and try not to do it again.
It's the flexibility.
A little bit of flexibility, yes.
Yes.
What'll happen though is when you start using a budget and you start getting better at savings, it sort of becomes like the fun thing to do. It takes the place of all those other things. If you haven't looked at a budget and it just seems like it's too much, start little and do it and try it. And I think if you're listening and you do take those steps, your financial life, you're going to eventually see that it gets better. I mean, you're great at budgeting. I mean, you really are. You're great at, I'm talking to you, Nicole. You really are good with managing your money. I don't know how you do it exactly, but I know you're great at it, and it does take away the stress. Carpe Dime is presented by Financial Center First Credit Union. It's produced by Jamie Davidson, Nicole Jackson, and Garrett Rue.
Financial Center is an 8-time national award winner in adult financial literacy, and our goal is what, Jamie?
To help improve your financial life. To learn more, visit fcfcu.com.
Like what you hear, subscribe to us on Google, iTunes, SoundCloud, the All Indiana Podcast Network, and Spotify.